lot of quick hands. They got 3-on-2. They settled for a 30-footer.
And Sullivan gets the board.
Pretty physical play on the inside, and there's another rebound, and Iowa State gets another deflection and a basket off of it.
The freshman Reggie George gets the bucket and one. Take a look at this one again, folks.
Reggie George, see the pass in there, gets deflected away right to George. He takes it up. Reggie George, with only 1 minute plus of playing time in the last 5 games, gets a basket.
Some big-time minutes here for Reggie George and Iowa State.
BJ, they're letting him play underneath the basket. You talk about ball handling slot. I think there's a lot of physical play. You really got to be tough and hanging on.
George converts the three-point conventional play, and the Cyclones grow their lead to 12. Florida State just 3 of 17 from three-point range. It's been one of those nights. Here's Pickett. Sullivan will track it down. Stinson to Holman in the lane. Not there.
Those coming down quick. They flip it back out. I don't know if the officials know.
Joyner pled his case right in front of the Iowa State bench. And Wayne Morgan letting the officials know.
I think Wayne Morgan's asking to get help, but I watched the 2 officials that particular play. They were looking at each other, and I don't think either one was sure. Let's see if we can see what happens here.
Here's Joyner.
It's hard to tell.
Yep.
Richardson goes up for a little stop and pop.
Richardson again. George with the tough board.
Nice rebound. Reggie George, as I said, only played a minute plus in the last 5 games. He's come off the bench here, a 3-point play, and a nice rebound there for Iowa State. And I'm sure Wayne Morgan's saying, hey, I got to get some people some rest because this team is going to come at me with 10 guys.
Sullivan inside to Holman. And a foul call.
Holman's had a tough time finishing off. He's had several good cracks inside. But as I said, there's a lot of arm grabbing going on. This time he catches the foul. Nice bounce pass away from the guy and goes up. And you see get cracked across. And Holman looks at the official and looks away. Where's the whistle?
Michael Joyner with the foul. That is the 4th team foul against Florida State. Coming up at the half, we'll talk with Walt Hamline of the NIT tournament, plus highlights and statistics.
Iowa State right now, I think coming down, there's 52 seconds. You'd like to play defense as tough as you can. Make sure Florida State has got to run the clock down, and you can have the last shot of the first half.
Here's Pickett for 3. Woloskowski, did he get the timeout? Yes, he did.
Nice save by Woloskowski, and 35.7 seconds now. The Seminoles will virtually be able to run the clock out and take the last shot.
Watch this move again. Holman trying to tip it back into a teammate, but Woloskowski with the hustle.
That's for young players out there watching. That's what hustle will do for you. And Woloskowski is one of those kind of guys. That could be a big play for a team. Momentum play. If they save the possession, come back and hit a bucket right now, that's a big play would be for them in the ball game as they trail by 13 right now.
Well, Gary, they're down to 2 timeouts too. Could that be a factor later?
Always can be. You like to save some, but you know, I always say you can lose games in the middle of the game or the 3-quarter mark by saving those timeouts, and when it ends up maybe not meaning anything.
Cyclones with a 13-point lead. Florida State just 3 of 20 from 3-point range. That's the story of the game. You think they've kind of settled from the outside? I mean,
Florida State?
Florida State, yeah. I mean, 3 of 20. We know that they take the threes, but 20 shots already here in the first half.
I thought they might try to attack and penetrate a little bit more when they went into the 1-on-1 situation with about almost 4 minutes to go. But they're, as I said, they're a 3-point shooting team. They're going to go for the 1.
Not much difference between the shot and game clock. So Iowa State will settle back in their 2-3 zone as we'll wind down the first half with Florida State trying to cut into the 13-point lead.
And I think you want to play the percentages here if you're Iowa State. You don't want to be fouling them on the shots. They haven't been shooting the ball well.
Jumper tipped away, and Iowa State with 2. Sullivan short at the end of the first half.
Had a little bit more time to work with, but easy to say when you're sitting here.
So it is Iowa State with a 13-point lead on Florida State as we play the first 20 minutes. You're watching NIT basketball on CSS and Mediacom. Okay. Gotcha. We're back here at the Civic Center in Tallahassee. Iowa State with a 13-point lead on Florida State. Second half action to come here shortly. You're watching NIT basketball on CSS and Mediacom. Ooh.
Are we going to be on camera?
Yeah. Yep, a little tighter.
Yeah, we like each other.
All right. Cyclones have a 13-point lead on Florida State here at intermission. With Gary Thompson, this is BJ Shaban, and Gary, Jake Sullivan for Iowa State has been beating Florida State at the Seminoles' own game.
Well, he's had a hot first half, shooting 14 points, and the Seminoles 3 for 20 from the three-point line, and their all-conference player, Pickett, 1 for 9, 0 for 8 from the three-point line. So that's the difference. Along with Iowa State, a good job of rebounding against a bigger club. They've out-rebounded the Seminoles by 8 here in the first half.
Well, the first half has been all about hustle. Let's take a look at some of that as we take a look at some of the first half highlights.
See the Seminoles tipping that ball around. Johnson gets in the middle, kicks back out to Wallenkowski. The left-hander nails it for a three-point shot. On the other end, Stinson comes back. Pickett picks his pocket, blocked from behind, gives it to Wafer down and the dunk, and got the Seminoles going early. But back came the Cyclones. You see Blaylock on the penetration, kicks it to Sullivan, and one of his threes right there. And then Staple chases down a loose ball. The Seminoles lazy on getting out of Seminole early in this game. Twice in a row right there. That's a tough shot, but he nails another three-pointer. 4 in the first half.
Here are your first half statistics. Iowa State shooting 42% from the field. Florida State just right at 24%. Talked about the three-point shooting. Rebounding, Iowa State owning an 8-point advantage there. Turnovers in favor of Florida State. Cyclones have turned it over 6 times so far here tonight. And Gary, when we take a look at what's got to happen here in the second half, what do you think?
Well, for Florida State, they got to think about shooting the basketball. And I'm sure Seminole fans remember at Wichita State, they were down 12. Pickett alone had 25 points in the game, 18 coming in the second half and the overtime. So they are an explosive team. Iowa State has to continue to do what they're doing. They've been aggressive on both ends of the board. Well, both ends of the floor, excuse me.
It should be a great second half as we take a look at Iowa State, Florida State. The next 20 minutes comes up next. You're watching NIT basketball on CSS and Mediacom. All right. Buckle up. Johnson. Iowa State with a 13-point advantage as we enter the next 20 minutes of play. There are some key statistics here. One of them right now, Jake Sullivan leading the way for Iowa State, 14 points. See Holman and Stinson with 5, and Reggie George has 3 off the bench for the Cyclones. For Florida State, manning the middle, Alexander Johnson, the freshman, has 7. Wallenkowski was 6, and then Nate Johnson, the senior out of Kansas City, has 3 for Florida State. Cyclones, well, they're playing some defense tonight. The 20 points that they've yielded so far, the lowest for an opponent at a half so far this season. Florida State shooting just about 15% from three-point range. That's the lowest since they played Georgia Tech last, when the Yellow Jackets held them to 19% from the perimeter in a half.
A lot of advice there, instructions from Coach Wayne Morgan. I'm sure he's saying, guys, you can't let down against this club. He knows how explosive they are, and they've got them back on their heels right now, and they need to come out here early in this second half and continue where they left off.
This is the first ever NIT game for Iowa State away from Ames and Hilton Coliseum. For Florida State, they've played just here a couple of times before in the NIT. In fact, they're 2-0 in home games in the NIT tournament.
BJ, both teams with some good quality wins this year. The Seminoles beat North Carolina, Maryland, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech had Wake Forest down in double digits in the second half before losing in overtime in the second game. Iowa State, a big win over Xavier earlier, has advanced to the Sweet 16. Kansas, Texas, Missouri.
Take a look at the lineups for the second half. See some familiar faces back onto the floor for Florida State. Wallenkowski, Wilson, Johnson, Tim Pickett, and also Nate Johnson for Iowa State. Jake Sullivan, Will Blaylock, Curtis Stinson, Jared Holman, and Jackson Vroman. Florida State inside to Alexander Johnson. Now back out to Nate Johnson. To Alexander. Works his way to the hoop, and he draws contact on the shot.
Got Johnson cleared out underneath. Let's see if we can see it here. Good penetration, forces Holman to rotate up. Iowa State, good rotation up there, but Johnson just kind of knocks Stinson out of the way, takes it up. Then on the follow shot, Iowa State picks up the foul on Johnson. We said he gets to the foul line. Strong guy, 6'10", 250 pounds.
Jared Holman picks up his second personal. Johnson pulls Florida State within 12. Holman with the board, and Cyclones with their first offensive possession of the second half.
With the Seminoles coming out and starting to shoot the basketball for some percentage-wise is the big thing that they're looking at. Iowa State, I think, needs to keep Holman and Vroman in the game. Both of them have 2 fouls right now. So look to stay away from that third foul, picking it up early.
Here, turnover by Iowa State. Holman fouled on his shot.
Walikowski on the reach. Leonard Hamilton saying, you can see his gesture in there, get around on the side, front him.
So Holman to the line. Started off fast from the charity stripe this year, but towards the tail end of the season, struggled a little bit.
He in turn has shot a lot of free throws. 153, made 103 of them, 67%. These are big free throws early part of the game. Again, you keep momentum away from the other team that's trailing, trying to come from behind. Iowa State comes with the trap, 3-quarter trap. 1-2-2. The back end is going to be open if you leave it that. Johnson time doesn't have the shot in that particular situation. Likes to take the penetration. Iowa State a good job of doubling him up, forcing him to kick it outside.
Here's Pickett. Finds Alexander Johnson.
Likes that free throw line jumper. Now let's see if something Coach Leonard Hamilton has gone to here. A Pickett trying to get more penetration and kicks. When he can beat you off the dribble like that and then hit an open guy, and that becomes a dangerous situation for Iowa State.
Holman inside, had it knocked out of bounds by Florida State. 12-point lead for the Cyclones. Here's Sullivan for 3. Pickett
pass.
With the finish.
That's what this team can do. They can strike you fast, and they're picking up the pressure defensively there. Nice job by freshman Blaylock.
Pickett with the foul. Let's take a look at this last basket by Florida State, Gary.
Look at Pickett. No look pass to Walikowski underneath. Might have got bumped by Holman there on the basket, and he was looking for the foul.
Inside to Vroman.
Iowa State, big guys have had some trouble finishing off easy shots inside.
The lead at 10.
Tempo play being picked up right now by the Seminoles.
The follow-up not there by Andrew Wilson, and here come the
numbers.
Blaylock.
Nice job, nice handling of the basketball. 3-on-2 situation. Convert just what you want, a layup, an easy 2 points.
Alexander Johnson, and he'll get a quick 2.
Johnson keeping the Seminoles in the basketball game.
Sullivan on the drive.
Sullivan trying to force it up. His one-on-one. Nobody was down for Iowa State. It was Sullivan against those 3 guys.
Iowa State will hold on to the possession, but take a look at this last basket. Stinson with a nifty move.
Behind his back, clears it. Now it's 2-on-1. Gets the pass there, and Blaylock off gets it off the glass. Defense from the other side coming in just a little late getting there. Nice transition basket by the Cyclones.
Now it looks like Alexander Johnson's going to have to check out of the game.
Fans not agreeing with this call.
And the carousel off the Florida State bench continues. Michael Joyner into the contest. Now Johnson will have to check out.
Leonard Hamilton just reloading here. As we said, he'll play 10 to 11 guys.
Vroman to work.
There's a nice finish. I'm surprised. He's 17 feet out there, and the Seminole defense, nobody rotated over to help. Just let him go right into the basket.
Cyclone stay in the zone. Inside, Walaskowski with the left hand.
The Seminoles changing their approach right here. Oh, what a comeback basket. When you're the Seminoles in this situation, you score, you're making a run, the crowd gets up, and right away, the opposing team comes back and scores. Kind of takes the sting away.
Here's Pickett for three. Bring it up. It's a 9-point lead. Vroman turns it over.
I know Sullivan was looking at that pass. He didn't make much of an effort to go after it, and the Cyclone players talking amongst themselves about what they need to do, and I think this is a good timeout by Wayne Morgan, as this crowd is really up.
A near capacity crowd here at the Leon County Civic Center. And timeout taken by Iowa State. Cyclones have a 9-point lead. You're watching NIT basketball here on CSS and Mediacom.
Well, it's really picked up. They're a much more aggressive team coming out. They're forcing the play. Look like they're attacking the basket. I don't know what Wayne Morgan will do here, but sometimes when you're on the road and you get the crowd like this, maybe you want to take a possession and milk the clock down. Try and get this crowd back out of the game. Just take a little time. Not let them get right back in it. Take a quick shot and let the Seminoles come down quick and see what happens.
See Florida State with a quick start here in the second half. Shooting well. Iowa State shooting right at 50%.
Got a 1-2-2 trap, three-quarter. Get the ball in the middle where you want it against that zone. Joyner flares out. Let's see, maybe that's what Wayne Morgan's trying to do. Just slow him down a little bit here with that trap. As we're seeing more penetration now. Wafer tried it there, trying to get into the middle and kick. Nice defense.
Deflection out of bounds, last touch by Iowa State. Stinson couldn't get a handle on it. And that'll bring us to another timeout on the floor. Cyclones still with a 9-point lead. You're watching NIT basketball on CSS and Mediacom. State 15-2 on the year at home and trying to make a comeback in this one. We take a look at three-point field goal percentage. Florida State on the season shooting at 38% tonight. Gary, just 19%.
Well, that's the big difference. When Pickett got his first one, that really excited this crowd. It brought the momentum on favor of the Seminoles.
Iowa State being led by Jake Sullivan's 14. He's been held quiet for quite a while. Florida State with the ball as we jump back into action.
Iowa State gets here. Oh, a nice dump pass.
Here's Joyner.
They'll go for that three-point shot. Like Wolonkowski could have taken up and under, but he pitches it out. And the Seminoles are on a run now.
It's a 6-point ball game.
We said they can strike fast. And the three-point shots, it adds up in a hurry.
Sullivan inside to Vroman, can't finish it.
Wolonkowski tough on the inside. Another block shot. Good bounce pass. Reverse there. Wafer, and this crowd is going wild. Iowa State, excuse me, DJ. Iowa State has 3 timeouts left, and the Seminoles 2.
Tale of 2 halves here. Florida State within 4.
And they're a much more aggressive team here in the second half.
Stinson to Sullivan for 3.
Sullivan can't convert. He's getting good shots. Actually, he's had better shots than probably some of those that he hit in the first half.
Pickett, I believe, was fouled up top. Let's take a look at this last Florida State bucket. And this is an unbelievable move by Wafer.
Good bounce pass goes through and then up and underneath. Reverse layup. And plays like that always excite the crowd.
And he gets the freshman from Homer, Louisiana going. Seminoles try to cut it to 1. Stinson.
Boy, coast to coast. And again, the Florida State players did not have their eyes on the basketball. Watching their man, he just goes in an easy layup.
Lead back to 6. Wolonkowski will pull up.
Oh, Banker. I don't know if we call that one from straight on, but things are going right now for the Seminoles. The Cyclones had it in the first half. So a couple 3 deflections that turned into baskets.
Holman with the answer on the other end.
Key basket by Jared Holman right there. 17-footer. Making a run. Iowa State tries to trap again.
Florida State on quite a roll. They made 6 of their last 7. Not there, though.
Now, there's where you have to block out. Holman had inside possession, but he didn't block. Went to the basket, and it was able to come out and took it out and keep it alive.
Florida State will hold on to it. Take a look at this one again.
Kicks out. Stinson with the ball. Comes through. Takes it in. Gets it a block. Goes up. And then Blaylock with his hand. I think thinks he was pushed from behind, but he had his hand on the ball, forcing it out. Strong physical play underneath. There's that pitch to the baseline guy on the out-of-bounds play.
Pickett for 3. Blaylock will run it ahead for Iowa State to set up the offense. And a foul away from the ball against Florida State and Wolonkowski. That'll be Wolonkowski picking up, or excuse me, make that Michael Joyner picking up his 3rd. Staple.
Several of those lobs have just not been high enough and long enough. They're coming up short.
Blaylock called for the travel.
Iowa State now with 3 turnovers here in the first 7.5 minutes of play. And of course, that always helps the team. When you're coming back, you make some shots, and you turn it over. You don't get an opportunity to score, get it up on the glass, and the run continues. Iowa State has been fighting it off. Good hustle there by Stinson.
Olaskowski nearly lost it.
Good job of staying down on defense by Staple that time. There's another three. Rebound long. Jefferson for Iowa State should have gotten that ball in the middle to Blaylock. He had an opportunity to do something on the offensive end if he gets it in the middle.
Stinson trying to create what he does.
Freshman of the year in the Big 12 Conference, and you fans watching can see why. Playing with a bad hand, almost a one-handed player.
Pickett will run it in. Olaskowski from the corner.
Good block off that time by Holman. Beautiful pass. Just don't convert. It becomes Stinson loafing a little bit back. Disgusty didn't make the layup. He's got to get back on defense to help. But two Seminoles also kind of lazy coming back. Helps him out.
Are they a little winded?
He's fighting through right there. No, Pickett. I noticed after you said that, I looked at Pickett. He was taking some deep breaths.
Well, it's Iowa State with a lead on Florida State. You're watching NIT basketball on CSS and Mediacom. We're going to have that highlight package coming back with Florida State on their runs.
Oh,
their little run.
Who all do we have here?
Moments ago, both teams getting a much-needed breather.
Olaskowski with 12 points and Alexander Johnson with 12. Keeping the Seminoles in the game as they trail by 8. There's a deep pass on the inside.
And Andrew Wilson is hammered.
Marcus Jefferson with the foul.
That'll be his second.
Wilson been doing a nice job on the board, 5 rebounds, but has failed to convert. 0 for 4 from the field.
Wilson will toe the line, a 70% free throw shooter on the year. Wilson, a 6'6" junior out of Kennesaw, Georgia. And makes both free throws.
He's now hit 11 of his last 12 free throws. You know, free throws are always big in any time of the game because it's a momentum. If he misses 2, it really drags Seminoles down. He hits 2, it just builds the team up and also the crowd.
Here's Jefferson on the drive, lost it.
Right into the traffic and then really any place to go.
Iowa State, Gary, here so far in the second half really haven't helped out their own cause here. They've turned the ball over a few times here in the last couple of minutes. In fact, Cyclones have turned it over 10 times for the game. Florida State just 6 turnovers.
Well, that would mean 4 turnovers here in the second half.
Wilson lost it, fell on it, and gets the timeout called.
That'll put Florida State now with 1 timeout left in the ball game.
And that's a tough timeout there for Florida State.
One that beat Virginia. Virginia by 19 at home.
Here we are at the Tallahassee Leon County Civic Center with Gary Thompson. This is B.J. Shaven. Cyclones wearing the Cardinal uniforms, Florida State in the home white. Now,
BJ, I don't know that in basketball if that should not be an intentional foul. Iowa State without 2-on-1, you reach out from behind trailing and grab a jersey and pull them back. To me, that should be an intentional foul. Because you take away a great advantage from a team. And I don't care which team it is. In basketball, I just think in basketball in general, that should be an intentional foul.
Pickett was the guilty party.
If you can get by with it, it's a smart play.
Here's Stinson on the drive, but he's called for a walk.
Tough drive that time. He split the dribble between the defenders. Iowa State going a little bit more one-on-one than they were in the first half. Remember, they were penetrating, doing a good job in there, and then kicking to open people, getting baskets. And then when they didn't make it, they had people that were released on the weak side as the defense rotated up, and they were getting some offensive baskets.
Take a look at the turnovers in the second half. Iowa State with 4, Florida State with just 2. Seminoles on the drive, had it kicked out of bounds.
And those 4 turnovers, the graphic up there right ahead of where the last play, so 5 turnovers for Iowa State as they turned it over with the travel with Stinson.
Walaskowski back into the contest. He's in for Michael Joyner.
Leonard Hamilton just keeps running in fresh bodies.
Now we've got everything straightened out and we're ready for action. Alexander Johnson with it, and he'll turn it over. Sullivan to the rack. Had it knocked away. Vroman saves it for Iowa State. Stinson has it knocked away.
I think Stinson was going to bounce at that time to Jefferson on the baseline, but the hands got in there and knocked it away.
Seminole faithful up on their feet. Jefferson pulls up.
With good hustle. Wayne Morgan's bench, Reggie George, Damon Staple have really helped Iowa State coming off.
Stinson with the drive and the kick out. Jefferson to Vroman, and a 3-second violation called against Iowa State. Vroman can't believe it.
You do not see too many 3 seconds called in the game anymore, but he was camped in there waiting as Iowa State played with the ball on the weak side. Jefferson that time, a good job of finding Vroman. A 3-second call.
Still a 6-point game.
See if the Seminoles break this trap. If they break the trap and penetrate, they're going to have the numbers. Good cross-court pass.
Open look for 3. Galloway hits it.
Galloway just 24% from the line, but hits a key one there. And again, the crowd rising to the occasion. 3-point lead.
This is the closest we've been in quite a while. A 3-point ball game.
I think this is a big possession for Iowa State to come away with a good shot.
Sullivan trying to create.
Tough shot.
And a foul called against Florida State.
And the Cyclones going to get a second opportunity as Holman and Blaylock come back in. But I think it's important here for Iowa State to score to cut the run.
Walaskowski picks up his second personal, the 5th against Florida State. The Cyclones holding on to a 3-point lead. You're watching NIT basketball on CSS and Mediacom. long has it been since Iowa State last scored?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Gotcha. Center. Students into this game. So are the fans, as Iowa State has gone on a drought. One field goal in the last 5:46.
BJ, now you look at Iowa State has led 13 points at half. They've got the lead cut down to 3. Iowa State with some young players on the road. Florida State with 2 senior guards. It comes at a time when Iowa State players have to think about winning the game and not losing it. Have they have the confidence in themselves? And I think, again, I go back, I think this possession is real crucial right now in the ball game, because it would take away the opportunity of the Seminoles if Iowa State does score, or if they would score rather, to come down and score and then still not be able to take the lead. Try to get Sullivan where they're swarming on. Now they back off. They've got him double teamed.
Vroman will hold on to it now. Finds Holman. Can't finish it.
Those finish-off shots. Iowa State's going to look back if they do not win this game at the number of shots they haven't been able to finish off.
Florida State on this possession can tie it at 3. And we're all knotted up at 47.
That's how big that basket was on the miss by Holman, and then you gamble on defense at the 3-point shooters, and they get it. The Seminoles on a roll now with the score tied.
Third time tonight we've been tied, but on the other end, a foul called against Florida State. Let's take a look at this basket again by Florida State, as it was Andrew Wilson spotting up.
Iowa State just not able to rotate quick enough to pick up for the gamble on defense. Good job by Wilson that time on Sullivan.
And count it, Sullivan with an opportunity for a 3-point play.
Well, if you're an Iowa State Cyclone fan, that's what you're looking for on this possession, at least, is to regain the lead. Quiet the crowd a little bit, and Sullivan does the job.
For Sullivan, that's a big basket for him. He had been held quiet after starting the game, quickly getting 14 points right away. Cyclones with a 3-point advantage now.
Come back with the trap. I think that's a good move by the Iowa State coaching staff, that trap. Just slow down the Seminoles a little bit, make them get into half court. Gets intensity out of the game.
Galloway can't get that one to fall.
Boy, there's hands down low, reaching and grab for that ball.
Stinson will spot up. And Vroman with the tip. Back to a 5-point advantage for Iowa State. Here's Alexander Johnson. And he's fouled on the floor.
Well, Iowa State really gets a break there because Johnson did a great job of splitting the defenders. He's going to probably dunk it.
Jackson Vroman called for the foul. That's his 3rd. 4th team foul against Iowa State.
And we talked about Iowa State needing to get Holman and Vroman by with those 3rd fouls. They've gone a long way. 6:13 to play.
Here's Joyner.
He can hit that shot.
Nate Johnson with the rebound, and the 3 on the other end by Pickett, and Florida State will keep it alive.
Nice job by Joyner. He was behind there, couldn't get to the basketball himself, but was able to tip it long.
Galloway's
going to cut her. Nice job.
Michael Joyner with the finish. Galloway with the assist. Three-point ball game.
for Iowa State. Needs some poise in each end. You got to come away with a good possession. Comes up short. Short again.
And a foul called against Will Blaylock. Let's take a look at Florida State on this last basket, Gary.
Cut, nobody there. They got him spread out, and that cutter gets through, and Galloway with a nice pass over the top, takes it up. Joyner off the glass, nice two.
Seminoles have the lead down to 3. Largest lead again by Iowa State was 14.
If Iowa State's man, I think they're in their matchup zone as they cut through. Blaylock followed his man. They're in the matchup zone.
Florida State will throw it around the arc.
Those Seminoles know where those guys are on the three-point line. Nate Johnson with one in and out. Brings some gas from the crowd.
Blaylock to Stinson.
How quick he gets that shot off. Right there, you think he's going to take a regular shot, but he just kind of, he calls his teardrop shot. He gets it off in a hurry, lobs it in there.
Cyclones by 5 again. They've kind of been dangling candy in front of Florida State here in the second half.
Good penetration by Joyner. Too deep. That's what's important. It's a team like this, is to keep your man in front of you, that penetration. Because if you pick him up, it leaves the man open on the baseline for an easy drop.
Joyner with 7 in the contest. Sullivan. Blaylock inside Vroman.
Oh, good turnaround. Tough shot there by Vroman. Didn't know where he knew where he was and finding that basket. But
Walaskowski will spot up and hit. Boy, both teams just trading baskets now, Gary.
Walaskowski, a left-hander, and has a brother Keith who played on the Dayton team.
Watching him for the first time ever.
Yeah, I think he's here. Here's where you need leadership when you're a team that's on the road. Now that was a nice pass, just not strong enough, but that was a nice pass by Holman because it was high lofted and got over the top of the defensive. They've been coming up short with those lobs throughout the game.
Here's Pickett for the tie.
You got Sullivan over on the side, but doesn't.
Holman left. Oh, alone, and he'll hammer it home.
Good find by Blaylock. Good running of the court by Holman, and he finishes that one off.
Boy, it's been a while since we've had a timeout. So these two teams, Gary, have really been slugging it out there on the court.
Florida State just answering the charge every time here. Iowa State gets a little lead. There's another shot.
The 3 won't go. And it's lost out of bounds. Iowa State will get it back. And that'll bring us to a timeout on the floor. It's the Cyclones by 5. You're watching NIT basketball on CSS and Mediacom. Okay. NIT basketball on CSS and Mediacom is brought to you by Subaru. Ask you when we come back, is it tense or intense for either team? NIT basketball on CSS and Mediacom is brought to you by Subaru, driven by what's inside. By Subaru of Gwinnett.com. And by Mediacom, your digital world now. It's Iowa State with a 5-point lead on Florida State. Gary, Iowa State has really risen to the occasion when Florida State gets close.
They've held them off. Little shots like that. Stinson into the lane, and Sullivan comes through, gets away from it. Blaylock, a nice pass. Vroman there with a turnaround jumper. He's almost completely underneath the basket. And then a nice find by Blaylock on Holman. A nice job by Holman running the court there. Gets the stuff. Iowa State by 5, 2:28.
Sullivan was 17 in the game. Played a whale of a contest. Now we're getting to the moments of the game where, is it tense or intense?
Well, it better be intense, because if either team is tense, you're not going to win the ball game. You've got to come out and be a player. You can't be tense in these kind of situations. You've got to play with intensity. Intensity and smart play.
The winner moves on to the round of 8. Sullivan for 3.
Sullivan.
And a foul against Iowa State. Take a look at this one again, as it was Wilson leading the break.
Sullivan goes up there. He probably should have tried to get that ball down low. He's not going to get up there with Wilson at 6'6". Try and get it down low. You might make him take it out of his path and rhythm of taking him up the ball to the basket and miss that shot, or else get him down low with the foul where he can't get the ball to the basket, which he didn't there. He gets his 2 free throws, but that's my way of trying to attack that guy from that defensive position.
4-point ball game. Curtis Stinson back into the contest. He's in for Marcus Jefferson. Alexander Johnson also back in for Florida State. Look at the free throw comparison here tonight. Seminoles 5 of 8. Cyclones have missed twice.
Big free throw miss right there, because 4-point lead in a 2-possession game for Iowa State instead of making the 1 possession. See if Iowa State wants to run some clock off, time and score.
Stinson caught up, and a jump ball will keep it with Iowa State. Possession row in favor of the Cyclones. And now Wayne Morgan wants a timeout. Iowa State now down to 2 timeouts after this one's being burned off. Cyclones with a 4-point advantage on Florida State. And I mentioned, Gary, it is a 2-possession game, and we've been in crunch time for a long time now with these 2 teams, and there's something about the NIT. A lot of close games so far this year.
Well, these teams are evenly matched. You look at Florida State going on the road against Wichita State, a terrific game. Georgia, Florida State, and Iowa State teams that are always about equal in their records and their placings in their conference. So a lot of parity amongst these teams, and we're getting exactly what you'd figure to get, a great basketball game. And now I think they've got Iowa State with 2 timeouts left, but Morgan called that timeout, I think, didn't he? So I think it should be 1 each. They still got 2?
Still got 2.
Okay.
Think about it, too. Each team in the bonus, so with each foul, it's a 1-and-1 situation, and you mentioned foul shooting.
Well, that's foul shooting in this stage of the game usually comes down winning or losing games. And Iowa State now has to be aware. They got 19 seconds on the shot clock. A lot of times you come out of a timeout and kids forget. You know, if you're an Iowa State fan, you're hoping that they made them alert to that. Sullivan. Good job of kicking it out. Blaylock's probably just going to take it on a solo penetration here.
And has it knocked away, but he got it right back. And
he had a pass down deep to Vroman. He went up. He should have dropped it down. And normally he's good at finding that man. Iowa State needs a good, solid defensive position from their standpoint to make time off the clock. Florida State would like to get it down to where they can get 2 possessions, and they will get at least 2 possessions.
Inside of a minute remaining in the ball game.
Let's see what they called at the timeout.
Pickett on the drive. Had it nearly taken away, but a foul called against Iowa State, and Pickett will go to the line. Stinson make it Blaylock the guilty party. That'll be his second. Take a look at this one again. Shot clock winding down. Gary, not what Iowa State wanted at all.
That's right there. Then they spin, and he gets it in there. And Pickett, a good free throw shooter, 75%. And Pickett has struggled offensively, 2 for 13. In fact, he's only taken one shot in probably the last 15 minutes. But it's always, you never want the guy that leads a team on the line. They usually big-time players come through, and that's what Pickett does with that first one.
Trims the lead down to 3. And the follow-up.
Be right. Block off, I was going to say, if you're Iowa State. 2-point ball game. Now let's see Iowa State 50 seconds. If they come down, they want to run the clock down as far as they can. That's what they're going to do. So they're going to, Florida State will try and play defense.
Stinson will pull up. And the rebound to Wilson, but it's nearly taken away by Blaylock, and he lost it out of bounds.
That ball just came shooting out of there, and Blaylock couldn't get his hands up fast enough. Now Iowa State really has to guard against a 3-point shooting team. Iowa State going to get Marcus Jefferson in for defense. I'm sure Sullivan, comes in for Sullivan. Bigger, quicker, plays better defense. But Iowa State better watch the penetration and kicks right here against this team.
Wayne Morgan wants another timeout. 58-56, Iowa State with a lead on Florida State. And wow, this one's going to be a nail-biter. Cyclones had a 14-point lead. Florida State made an initial charge at the second half. They did tie it up once. Cyclones pulled away by 5, and now Florida State with an opportunity on this possession to either tie it or take the lead.
You really have to credit both teams. Seminoles really came back from the 13-point deficit, came out aggressive. They penetrated and kicked and got the ball inside. They got some layups. And then you got to credit Iowa State. They've fought off this charge by the Seminoles all the way down here, down to 34 seconds left.
Each team with one full timeout. You see our game reset. Possession arrow in favor of Florida State. This, by the way, will be the last home game played for Florida State, even if they win on Friday, because Yanni's coming to town.
Both teams with one timeout left. Now, as players, you need to think. If you need a possession, you need to control it, or you got defensive pressure on you, you're in a doubled-up situation, something like that. You got to think about using that timeout now to save a possession with only 34 seconds left.
Nate Johnson covered up by Will Blaylock.
They go high post. They got 3 guys along the baseline.
Shot clock off.
They're running Pickett, trying to post up Pickett on Jefferson. Jefferson doing a nice job of fighting him off. There's the pitch out.
Pickett on the drive. Can't get it to fall. Walaskowski keeps it alive. Alexander Johnson short. Jefferson gets the board, and he's fouled with 8 seconds remaining in the game.
Well, Seminoles had their chance right there. We just couldn't come up with it. Iowa State, a nice job fighting them off. Let's see this action. Nice defense here. Can't get the split with the 2 big guys. Cover him up. Holman and Vroman, they kick out. This ball is way short. Couldn't pull the trigger, and Jefferson with a big rebound, and you get the foul on Walaskowski.
So Marcus Jefferson to the line for Iowa State. On the year, a 63% free throw shooter. Has just 2 points, as you see tonight. The free throw. And Iowa State with a 3-point lead, and now Jefferson will try to ice it. Iowa State trying to win their first road game in 10 tries. Last road win coming against the Drake Bulldogs at the Knapp Center in Des Moines earlier this season.
That one is big because now Iowa State can just guard the 3-point line. And if this one is even bigger for Iowa State, what clutch free throws by Marcus Jefferson. Now you want to say don't foul, give them anything, but don't foul if you're Iowa State. There's the 3-pointer with 2 seconds left.
So it is Andrew Wilson with the 3 to make this one even closer. 60-59. 2 seconds now remaining in the game. Let's take a look at this one again, Gary, as Florida State hustled the ball up the floor.
They're not going to die. They got their 3-point shooter spotted up. They push it down there quick. Iowa State still covering up. I think that's where you need to be out there on those guys. 3-point shooter. You give up the 2. right there, because it's going to take another second or two probably to get it into the 2-point basket.
Take a look at the timeouts. Iowa State with 1 full timeout remaining. That's a bonus for them if they cannot get it in. And of course, you see the fouls there. Cyclone still at the line, shooting the 1-and-1. Here's the 3-pointer again from a different angle.
See, late getting out. I think right then maybe you match up with individuals. Take the 3-point shot away. If they drive it all the way to the basket, like I said, there was 2 seconds left. It's going to take you another second and a half.
How big was that last free throw by Marcus Jefferson?
Yep. This is a team you don't fool around with that 3-point shot. They struggled, particularly in the first half, but they have dangerous weapons on that 3-point arc.
What do you do for Florida State on the inbounds? You foul right. I mean, obviously you have to foul right away, but
yeah, your only chance is to go right if you're Florida State right now. You got to go hard for an interception. You'd like to try to force it a 5-second call. And here's where Iowa State's got 1 timeout left, and whoever's taken out of bounds has got to be aware of that and think if they got any problem at all, it's close to a 5-second call. You got to get timeout call. Florida State is 0 timeouts. You could also throw the ball long. There's one. And Jake Sullivan probably was a good guy to go. They'll go back. There he comes back for it. That's the big game.
Curtis Stinson was the trigger man. He gets it to Sullivan, and one of the NCAA's best free throw shooters will go to the line with 0.7 of a second remaining.
A lot of things can happen right here. Even if he hits 2 free throws, you got a 3-point lead. It's going to be pretty tough for Florida State. They'd have to make the long pass. I tell you what I'd think about. I'd think about hitting one here, and I would think about missing with Florida State with no timeouts left. I would miss this. I would miss this free throw. That's what I'd do myself.
Wayne Morgan hoping for that big road victory. Looking better by the moment.
See, now you give him a chance to throw the ball and anything can happen.
Johnson at the horn.
Well, that's what can happen right there. If you miss it, you're probably not going to have any play.
And Iowa State comes up with a big, big road victory tonight in Tallahassee against Florida State, and it will be the Cyclones moving on to the round of 8. Iowa State knocks off Florida State 62-59. Big win, Gary.
A great win for Iowa State against a nice club in Florida State and Leonard Hamilton's team. And this Iowa State team has been proving a lot of young players on the team. They've been getting better each game and really going on the road. A tough test here, and withstood the pressure and came away with a big win.
So the Cyclones will advance into the next round as they take on the winner of the Boise State Marquette game. That game being played in Milwaukee this evening at a date and time to be selected later by the NIT. But this Florida State team, well, they've got a bright future ahead of them with Leonard Hamilton. They've got 2 top 30 recruits coming in for next year. Could see maybe a matchup between these two in the NCAA possibly next year.
No doubt about that. You know, Staple and Reggie George for Iowa State really did a great job for Wayne Morgan come off the bench. Not that many minutes, but enough that really gave him a chance to rest players, and they were productive.
Well, that's going to be it for us, Gary. Iowa State wins at 62-59 as they knock off Florida State and they advance in the NIT tournament. For Gary Thompson, our producer-director Anthony Early, this is B.J. Shaven saying so long from Tallahassee as the Cyclones pick up a 3-point victory.
You're very good and very nice.